Welcome to The Exchange. I'm Rob Cox of Reuters Breaking Views. My guest today is Buddy Roemer, who quite possibly could be the next president or the first third-party president of the United States in the last 100 years. Thank you for coming on. I mean, I'd love to hear more about your plan. You recently went from being a Republican candidate for president, and now you've gone a third-party approach. What's your plan?
There were 23 nationally televised debates. You can't run for president without being included in them. Every one of the Republican candidates have risen and fallen. It's wide open, and I was never asked to be on a debate. I'm the only guy running in the Republican Party who's been elected a governor and a congressman, and I couldn't get on the stage. So I decided reluctantly about 2 weeks ago to become an independent and to go after the Americans Elect unity ticket.
And which is a kind of a different platform.
It's different.
Explain that a little bit.
It's not a third party. It doesn't have a party platform. All they've done is put together a not-for-profit that will be on the ballot in all 50 states. And unlike the Republican primary, the debate selection in the general election won't be by happenstance. It's by law. And the law says if you're on all 50 ballots, like Americans Elect, and you get 15% of a national poll, you will be included in the national debate. So it's my belief that no PAC money, no super PAC money, no bank money, no Wall Street money, $100 limit, everything disclosed, those are my rules, that the reform message deserves a chance to talk to America.
Now because you've foregone all of that money out there, the super PACs. Right. You've kept your donations to your campaign at 100 and below.
Right.
Isn't that the reason you weren't able to get your voice up to the point where the networks or whoever was holding these debates would say, well, we got to get that guy.
Well, they never said that. What they said was, well, you're not high enough in the national poll. Well, then I became high enough. I went from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3.
Hey, that's as good as Newt Gingrich nowadays.
I was ahead of Rick Santorum and Newt Gingrich at some point. Oh, no, buddy. I said, why not? You haven't raised $500,000 in the last 60 days. I'm asking you, is that the way to pick a president? The guy who can go to Wall Street and raise the most money? I say, damn not.
You tell me why not. Now, is it because of the insidious influence that anyone who gives a candidate money will expect from that candidate when they get to office? What is your moral or philosophical guiding principle on that?
You know, I've been a congressman. I've been a governor. I never took PAC money. My belief was that money ought to be fully disclosed. Limits weren't that important, but I like limits. I'd always set $500 or some reasonable limit. I always won. I always beat the incumbent who took everything he could get. I beat a guy for governor once who spent $20 million against me. I spent less than $1 million and I whipped him. It can be done on the money. Here's what I believe. I believe America's a great country, but in trouble. And I believe that what we need to lead us out, is a woman or a man free to lead, who doesn't try to build a party, but tries to build a nation. And I thought that a year ago when I ran as a Republican, which I've been for 21 years, couldn't get on the ballot. So now I've decided to take those principles, free enterprise, full disclosure, broad limits, and talk to the American people about what's wrong with Washington.
Right.
And if I can say quickly, Washington is broken.
Well, let's go to that.
Bought.
What would you do to fix it? So let's assume that you're right and that we have a problem as a nation, many problems. So let's say you win the election. What would you do?
House Bill 1. What would House Bill 1 be? Campaign reform. I would make it illegal for a lobbyist to bring a check.
Right.
I would have full disclosure. I would have PAC money equal to individual money. Now it's twice as much. I would eliminate super PACs. I would have 48-hour reporting. And guess what? I would have criminal penalties for politicians who violated these laws.
That is going to be really popular with fellow members of Congress. You'll love to vote on House Bill 1. What about 2? What's number 2?
A bank reform and tax reform. They're connected in my mind. And they're clearly bought by special interests. Obama did bank reform. Too big to fail is still the law. Glass-Steagall is still dead, and capital ratios do not rise when banks' assets
Now,
do.
of course, you are a banker. There's a
do
reason
this for a living.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a bank in Louisiana which has got about $1 billion of assets. You focus mainly on small business lending.
That's correct.
But I mean, what is your
And
sense
we
of?
foreclosed on no home mortgages. We restructured debt, and we've made a profit every quarter. You know, this can be done if done properly. But banking has become speculative. It's become how big you can be, not how safe you can be.
But I thought Dodd-Frank solved all those problems, buddy. I mean, what would be? I mean, you're not a candidate who's
You
saying
had a Freudian slip there. You
sorry,
didn't
yeah,
say
I did.
solve. You said save.
Solve.
It didn't either. It neither saved it nor solved it. I mean, it was okay, but it didn't. Is too big to fail still the law? Yes, it is.
It isn't technically the law, but the market seemed to believe it is the law. I mean, we were talking earlier
Well,
about
let me say this. When the next banking failing comes, guess what's going to happen? The big boys are going to be bailed out, and they're going to enjoy 10 years of a cost of money at about half the cost of community bankers. Guess what the rule is today? Exactly that.
Right.
There's 50 basis points difference in the cost of money for a $1 billion bank in Texas and a $100 billion bank on Wall Street.
Yeah.
It's not right, and it's not good business. But look, I don't want to pick on the bankers. It's true in the insurance companies when it comes to health care. It's true with the pharmaceuticals. This society is run by money at the big gift level. If you want to know what's bought and sold, go visit Washington, D.C. Have a good idea. Stand in line and see when you get called.
Right. No, and I just ask you one follow-up on banking. I mean, your bank, you started how many years ago? Six
years ago.
You've done phenomenally well. So it sounds to me, though, that
in the worst banking time.
Right, but it means that there's a huge opportunity and free market opportunity to actually create an alternative to the banking universe out there.
Yes, but we never go to Washington. We don't have a lobbyist. I was on the banking committee for 8 years as a congressman. I know how it works. You play footsie with these congressmen, and then when they retire, you hire them at your bank. And I won't mention Phil Graham at UBS, or I could give you 40 examples. By the way,
just retired.
What did Phil and Bill Clinton do?
They
did away with Glass-Steagall. How did that work?
Well, not that well, if you believe that had something to do with the banking crisis.
No kidding.
But let me ask you one last question, okay? So next week we get Super Tuesday. Are we going to basically see, from the Republican perspective, will we see a candidate emerge? And will the Republican Party establishment then step behind that candidate? And obviously, I'm talking about Romney.
Maybe.
Who
cares?
You don't care.
I mean, Mitt Romney's the 1%. Newt Gingrich is the lobbyist for the 1%. Rick Santorum has no chance. They've shut him out. I mean, I know how this works. It's a game. It's behind closed doors, and big checks run the government. How do you like it? It wasn't what America was in the beginning. It wasn't what America was at its strongest point. I think it's time to look back to what could be.
All right. America has a major debt problem. Homeowners have debt problem. We're seeing foreclosures everywhere. We obviously have it at the federal level. What's your solution from all the way across, from homeowners and foreclosures to
I'll
government?
be quick. We need budget reform. We'll have to put everything on the table, specifically entitlements. I would raise the retirement age for Social Security by 1 month a year for 24 years. That raises it by 2 years. I'd do the same thing with Medicare. That makes a big dent in that debt problem. I would also require insurance companies to compete. I would put them in the Sherman Antitrust Act. I would require pharmaceutical companies to give price discounts when they thought it was possible. It wouldn't be a government mandate,
right.
But now the government prevents that from happening. I would do tort reform. I would really change the healthcare system. I'm a diabetic for 50 years. It needs to be done. For home foreclosures, I would divide it into 3 parts. First is fraud. Fraud is against the law. Robo-signings, lying to the customer, hiding information from the customer. And if you're listening to this program and you're a homeowner and you think you're a victim of fraud, I'd take it to your district attorney, I'd take it to your attorney general, I'd take it to your congressman. The law provides that you'll get all your money back. Right. Go do it. Number 2, is restructuring our home owning facility in this country. Now it's run by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I would do away with both of them.
Right.
They are corrupt. They spend most of their time lobbying Congress.
Create a true financial private
Exactly.
market for
It could be done regionally. It could be done by state. It could be done by class of borrower. There are 1,000 ways to do it. We don't need the government to do it. The government's proved that it cannot do it. Finally, we need an economy that's growing again. Fair trade with China, deregulation of small business, energy independence, tax reform, budget reform. You do those 5 things, you'll have the strongest America you ever had. And you know what you need to do them? Not Buddy Roemer. You need a president free to lead. You need somebody in the budget that can't be bought off by earmarks.
Who's not beholden to financial interests.
That's what you need, Rob. You know it. It rings true to you. I'm 68. I've been in politics for 50 years, off and on. I can tell you, America, there's nothing wrong with this country that we can't make right. All we need is a president free to lead.
Okay, well, thank you, Buddy. Appreciate you coming on. That's Buddy Roemer, our guest today on The Exchange. I'm Rob Cox. We will be back next week with another edition of The Exchange.